Claire sat at her desk, her eyes glued to the computer screen as she typed furiously. The soft hum of the office surrounded her, punctuated by the occasional ringing phone or the chatter of her coworkers. It was just another Monday morning at Silverstone Enterprises, but for Claire, it was anything but ordinary. Today was her first day at her new job, and she was determined to make a good impression. "Claire, right?" a voice interrupted her concentration. She looked up to see a man standing beside her desk, a warm smile on his face. "Yes, that's me," she replied, returning his smile. "Welcome to the team." "I'm Ethan," he said, extending his hand. Claire shook his hand, noting his firm grip and confident demeanor. "Nice to meet you, Ethan." Ethan was the marketing manager, known for his innovative ideas and dynamic approach. He had been with the company for 5 years and was well respected by his colleagues. Claire had heard a lot about him during her interview process, and now here he was, welcoming her to the team. "If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask," Ethan said, his eyes meeting hers. "We're all here to help." "Thank you, I appreciate that," Claire said, feeling a little more at ease. As the day went on, Claire found herself adjusting to the new environment. She attended meetings, familiarized herself with the company's projects, and tried to absorb as much information as possible. Ethan was often in these meetings, his presence commanding attention. Claire couldn't help but admire his confidence and the respect he garnered from everyone around him. Weeks passed, and Claire settled into her role. She was diligent and hardworking, often staying late to ensure her work was perfect. Her dedication did not go unnoticed, especially by Ethan. He admired her commitment and the fresh perspective she brought to the team. One evening, as Claire was preparing to leave the office, Ethan approached her desk. "Burning the midnight oil, I see," he said with a grin. Claire laughed, a little embarrassed. "Just trying to stay on top of things." "I get it," Ethan said, leaning against her desk. "How about a drink? There's a great little bar down the street." "It's the least I can do to welcome you properly." Claire hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Sure, why not? I could use a break." The bar was cozy and dimly lit, with a relaxed atmosphere that made it easy to unwind. Claire and Ethan found a corner table and ordered drinks. They talked about work, their colleagues, and their backgrounds. Claire learned that Ethan had a degree in marketing and had worked his way up from an entry-level position. He was passionate about his job, but he also had a love for travel and adventure. "What's your story?" Ethan asked, his eyes focused on her. Claire took a sip of her drink, considering her answer. "I studied communications and worked at a few different places before landing here. I love writing and creating content, but I also enjoy painting and hiking in my spare time." "That's impressive," Ethan said, genuinely interested. "It's always good to have a creative outlet." They continued talking, discovering shared interests and laughing over funny anecdotes. As the night wore on, Claire realized how comfortable she felt with Ethan. There was an ease to their conversation, a connection that she hadn't felt in a long time. The next morning, Claire walked into the office with a spring in her step. She and Ethan had exchanged numbers before parting ways, and she found herself eagerly checking her phone for a message from him. Sure enough, there it was. Had a great time last night. We should do it again soon. Ethan and Claire smiled as she typed her reply. Definitely. Thanks again for the drink. Claire, from that day on, their relationship began to shift. They started having lunch together, sharing inside jokes, and sending each other funny memes during work hours. Claire found herself looking forward to seeing Ethan each day, her heart racing a little whenever he was near. One Friday evening, after a particularly grueling week, Ethan suggested they grab dinner. Claire agreed, and they found themselves at a quaint Italian restaurant, the ambience intimate and inviting. So, tell me more about your painting, Ethan said as they waited for their food. Claire blushed. It's just a hobby, really. I love the feeling of putting brush to canvas, creating something from nothing. It's therapeutic. I'd love to see your work sometime, Ethan said, his eyes sincere. Maybe you will, Claire replied, feeling a warmth spread through her. As the night progressed, their conversation grew more personal. They shared their dreams, their fears, and their hopes for the future. Claire felt a connection with Ethan that she hadn't felt with anyone else. It was as if they understood each other on a deeper level. When the bill came, Ethan insisted on paying. Consider it a thank you for all your hard work, he said with a wink. Thank you, Claire said softly, touched by his gesture. Outside the restaurant, the night air was cool and refreshing. Ethan walked Claire to her car, their footsteps echoing in the quiet street. I had a great time tonight, Ethan said, his eyes locking with hers. Me too, Claire replied, her heart pounding. For a moment, they stood there, the tension between them palpable. Then, before she could second-guess herself, Claire leaned in and kissed him. It was a gentle, tentative kiss, but it sent a jolt of electricity through her. Ethan responded, his arms wrapping around her as he deepened the kiss. When they finally pulled apart, they were both breathless. Wow, Ethan said, a smile spreading across his face. Yeah, wow, Claire echoed, feeling a mix of exhilaration and nervousness. They said their goodbyes, and Claire drove home, her mind racing with thoughts of Ethan. She couldn't deny the feelings she had for him, but she also knew that office romances could be complicated. The following weeks were a whirlwind of emotions. Claire and Ethan continued to grow closer, their relationship becoming more than just a casual fling. They spent weekends together, exploring the city, going on hikes, and sharing their lives in ways that felt both new and familiar. At work, they maintained a professional demeanor, careful not to let their personal relationship interfere with their jobs. But there were stolen glances, secret smiles, and moments of connection that only they understood. One afternoon, as they were working late on a project, Ethan turned to Claire. There's something I need to tell you, he said, his expression serious. What is it? Claire asked, her heart pounding. I've been offered a promotion, Ethan said. But it means relocating to our office in London. Claire felt her heart drop. London? When? At the end of the month, Ethan replied. I haven't accepted it yet because of us. Claire was silent for a moment, processing the information. She knew how much this promotion meant to Ethan, but the thought of him leaving was painful. I don't want to lose you, Claire, Ethan said, his voice earnest. But this is a huge opportunity for me. Claire took a deep breath, her mind racing. I understand, Ethan. And I would never want to stand in the way of your dreams. But what about us? Ethan asked, his eyes searching hers. I don't know, Claire admitted, her voice trembling. I don't know how to make this work. They spent the next few days in a state of uncertainty, their future hanging in the balance. Claire couldn't bear the thought of losing Ethan, but she also knew that long-distance relationships were challenging. One evening, as they sat together in Claire's apartment, Ethan took her hand. I've made my decision, he said softly. Claire's heart raced. What is it? I'm going to London, Ethan said, his voice steady. But I want you to come with me. Claire's eyes widened in surprise. Come with you? To London? Yes, Ethan said, his grip on her hand tightening. I know it's a big ask, and I know you have your life here. But I love you, Claire. And I want us to be together. Tears filled Claire's eyes as she looked at him. She had never expected this, but deep down, she knew what she wanted. I love you too, Ethan, she said, her voice choked with emotion. And yes, I'll come with you. They embraced, their hearts full of hope and excitement for the future. It was a leap of faith, but they were ready to take it together. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of preparations. Claire gave notice at her job, packed up her apartment, and said goodbye to her friends and family. It was a bittersweet time, but she knew that she was making the right decision. Ethan was by her side through it all, supporting her and sharing in the excitement of their new adventure. They talked about their plans for London, their dreams for the future, and the life they would build together. Finally, the day came for their departure. As they boarded the plane, Claire felt a mix of nerves and anticipation. But as she looked at Ethan, she knew that they were embarking on a journey that would bring them closer than ever. In London, they found a cozy apartment in a vibrant neighborhood. Claire quickly found a job with a local marketing firm, and Ethan settled into his new role. They explored the city together, discovering its history, culture, and charm. Their relationship grew stronger with each passing day. They supported each other through challenges, celebrated each other's successes, and found joy in the simple moments. They were a team, partners in every sense of the word. One evening, as they strolled along the Thames, Ethan stopped and turned to Claire. There's something I've been wanting to ask you, he said, his eyes full of love. What is it? Claire asked, her heart racing. Ethan took a deep breath, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a small box. Claire, will you marry me? Tears filled Claire's eyes as she looked at the man she loved. Yes, Ethan. Yes, I'll marry you. He slipped the ring onto her finger, and they kissed, the lights of London sparkling around them. It was the beginning of a new chapter in their love story, one filled with promise and happiness. Their wedding was a beautiful celebration, surrounded by friends and family. As they exchanged vows, Claire felt a sense of peace and joy she had never known before. They had faced challenges and taken risks, but their love had triumphed. Ethan and Claire built a life together filled with love, laughter, and adventure. They continued to support each other's dreams and found joy in the simple moments. Their love story was one of courage, faith, and the unbreakable bond between two hearts meant to be together. As they stood together, watching the sunset on their anniversary, Claire rested her head on Ethan's shoulder. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" she asked, a smile playing on her lips. "Every day," Ethan replied, kissing her forehead. "And I wouldn't change a thing." Their love had endured, and it burned brighter than ever. They had faced the challenges of life together, and their love had only grown stronger. Claire knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together, hand in hand, their love a beacon of hope and happiness. And so, their story continued, a testament to the power of love, courage, and the unbreakable bond between two hearts meant to be together.